In the small sunlit village of Chivu, life moved at a gentle pace. Birds sang in the mornings, children played by the river, and the elders gathered under the large musasa tree to tell stories. One such sunny day, Tariro was helping her mother grind maize when her best friend Ropa came rushing in. "Tariro, you won't believe it," she panted. "Kudzai is back from the city and is at the harvest festival." Tariro's heart skipped a beat. Kudzai, the hard-working and respectful young man who had left the village years ago, had always caught her attention. Trying to appear calm, she finished her chores and joined the festivities. The festival was lively, with drums echoing through the air and people dancing joyfully. Tariro spotted Kudzai near the fire, laughing with his friends. When their eyes met, he smiled and walked over. "Tariro, it's been a long time," he said, his voice warm. "I almost didn't recognize you. You've grown more beautiful than I remembered." Tariro blushed, her heart fluttering like a trapped bird. "Welcome back, Kudzai. The village isn't the same without you." As the evening progressed, they found themselves talking by the riverbank, sharing stories of the city and the village. Kudzai spoke of his dreams of building a home and starting a family. Tariro listened, her admiration for him growing. Days turned into weeks, and Kudzai began visiting Tariro's home often, under the pretense of fetching water or buying vegetables. The villagers, noticing their growing bond, teased them mercilessly. "Kudzai, are you cutting the maize or Tariro?" An elder joked. Kudzai's visits became a routine, and the spark between them grew brighter, setting the stage for their journey ahead. Meeting the families. After months of shy glances, whispered conversations, and shared laughter, Kudzai knew he wanted to marry Tariro. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky with hues of gold, he sat with his family around the fire. "I want to marry Tariro," Kudzai announced, his voice steady but filled with nervous excitement. His mother clapped her hands with joy, while his younger siblings whooped in delight. His father, a wise man with a slow smile, nodded approvingly. "A good choice," he said, "but marriage is not just about love, it's about families coming together. First, we must prepare to have a meeting with the family." The first formal meeting between the two families was no small talk. Gifts had to be prepared: tea leaves, sugar, bread, and even a small bag of maize. The next weekend, Kudzai's family piled into their donkey cart and made their way to Tariro's homestead. When they arrived, Tariro's family was ready. Her father, a tall, imposing man with a deep voice, greeted them at the gate. "Welcome," he said, motioning them inside. The two families sat in the hut, the air thick with both anticipation and the smell of freshly brewed tea. Kudzai felt beads of sweat on his forehead as he answered the elders' questions. "What are your intentions with our daughter?" Tariro's father asked, his voice serious. "To marry her and build a future together," Kudzai replied firmly, his eyes meeting the elders' gaze. There was a tense silence before Tariro's father broke into a smile. "Then we will move forward," he said. Outside, the women were already preparing a feast, and the sounds of laughter and celebration filled the air. The first step had been taken. planning the Lobola. With the meeting with Kudakwashe complete, the next step was the all-important Lobola negotiation. Kudzai's father called for a family meeting to discuss preparations. We must approach this with respect and wisdom, he said. Lobola is not just about money. It is a way of honoring Tariro's family and their ancestors. Kudzai nodded, determined to do things right. His uncles, known for their silver tongues, were chosen as the spokespersons for the negotiation. Don't worry, nephew, Uncle Due said with a grin. We will make sure you get your bride without selling all your cattle. On the other side, Tariro's family also gathered. Her auntie, a fierce and outspoken woman, was appointed as the main negotiator. We cannot be too lenient, she warned. Tariro is a treasure, and treasures are not cheap. The date for the Lobola negotiation was set, and word spread quickly through the village. Did you hear? Kudzai is going to pay Lobola for Tariro. The women whispered at the well. Even the village children made a game out of pretending to negotiate Lobola. On the appointed day, Kudzai's family arrived at Tariro's homestead early in the morning. They brought gifts of grain, cooking oil, and blankets, as well as a few fat goats tied to the cart. Tariro's family welcomed them warmly, but the negotiations were anything but easy. Uncle Duve and Tariro's aunt went back and forth, their voices rising and falling as they argued about Tariro's worth. A hard-working, respectful girl like Tariro deserves the best, her auntie declared. And Kudzai is offering the best he can, Uncle Duve retorted. By the end of the day, an agreement was reached. A number of cows, a token amount of money, and additional items like fabric and beads. Both families celebrated, knowing the union was now official in the eyes of tradition. A community affair. With the Lobola negotiations complete, the news of Kudzai and Tariro's upcoming wedding spread through Chivu like wildfire. Weddings were a village-wide event and everyone wanted to play a part. At the river, women gathered to wash clothes while discussing the preparations. I hear Tariro's dress will have real beads from South Africa, one exclaimed, and Kudzai's family is bringing an ox for the feast, another added. Back at Tariro's home, the hustle and bustle had already begun. A mother, Maitaro, was busy coordinating everything. We need more firewood for cooking fires, she instructed one of the young boys, and someone must fetch more clay pots from Andisha Misat. Tariro, meanwhile, was pulled aside by cousins. We have to prepare you for your new life, Ropa teased. You will need to know how to save your husband tea without spilling a drop. The group erupted in laughter as Tariro tried balancing a cup on her head. Over at Kudzai's homestead, things were equally lively. His younger brothers were tasked with grooming the cattle that would be sent to Tariro's family as part of the wedding festivities. Don't let them look scruffy, Kudzai's father warned. These cattle represent our pride. Kudzai's friends teased him relentlessly. You are about to leave the bachelor's club, one joked. Are you ready to wake up to the sound of babies crying? Despite the ribbing, Kudzai's excitement was evident. The entire village pitched in, from helping with decorations to contributing food for the feast. The wedding was no longer just about Kudzai and Tariro. It was a celebration of community and tradition. As the big day drew closer, anticipation filled the air. This will be a wedding to remember, the elders declared, their eyes twinkling with pride. The bride's preparations. As the wedding day approached, Tariro's home buzzed with activity. She sat in her bedroom surrounded by her cousins who were busy braiding her hair into intricate patterns. This hairstyle will show everyone you are a proud Shona bride, said her cousin Roba, tying the final bead into place. Tariro gazed at herself in the small mirror, admiring the delicate braids and colorful beads. It's beautiful, she whispered. Yet beneath her smile, she felt a knot of nerves in her stomach. Are you nervous? Asked her older sister, Chipo, sitting beside her. A little, Tariro admitted. What if I'm not a good wife? What if I miss home too much? Chipo took her hand gently. It's normal to feel that way, she said. Marriage is a big step, but remember, you're not going far. And Kuza is a good man. He'll take care of you. In the kitchen, Tariro's mother and aunts prepared a feast fit for royalty. Large pots of sadza, stews of goat and chicken, and trays of roasted peanuts filled the air with mouth-watering aromas. The groom's family will eat well, my Tariro said proudly. Meanwhile, the village women arrived with gifts for Tariro, from hand-woven mats to traditional fabrics. Each woman offered advice as they handed over their tokens. Always respect your husband, one elder said, adjusting a shawl. Don't forget to honor his family. They are your family now too, another added. The most sacred moment came when Gogo, Tariro's grandmother, presented her with a small clay pot. This pot has held our family's water for generations, she said. It's a symbol of continuity. Take it with you to your new home, so our ancestors will always be near. Tariro's heart swelling with emotion. She realized that this wasn't just a day, it was a reflection of her family's love, wisdom, and heritage. She said, "Thank you, Gogo." The groom's preparations. Kudzai's homestead was a hive of activity. The men were up early, bustling about as they prepared for the big day. Kudzai stood in front of a small wooden mirror, fumbling with his crisp white shirt. "Why is this button so stubborn?" he muttered. His younger brother, Simba, laughed. "Maybe it knows you are nervous," he teased, dodging the playful sword Kudzai aimed at him. Uncle Due entered the room, his voice booming. "Kudzai, are you ready? You are representing all of us today. Don't embarrass the family." His tone was serious, but his eyes twinkled with mischief. "I'm ready, Uncle," Kudzai said, standing tall. Still, his palms felt clammy and he couldn't shake the feeling that something might go wrong. In the courtyard, the groom's party gathered. The cattle, which had been meticulously groomed, stood tethered under a large tree. Each cow had been chosen carefully, symbolizing respect and wealth. "We will tie ribbons on their horns," Kudzai's father announced. "This is a sign of joy and prosperity." The women in Kudzai's family were busy too. Auntie Chiedza tied a bright yellow sash around Kudzai's waist, symbolizing good fortune. "You look like a true Shona groom now," she said, stepping back to admire her work. As the sign climbed higher, the ululations of women echoed through the village, signaling the time to depart. The groom's party gathered their gifts, baskets of groundnuts, bowls of colorful fabric, and bottles of traditional beer. and loaded them onto the ox-drawn cart. Simba leaned over to Kudzai and whispered, "Are you ready to become a married man?" Kudzai smiled nervously. "I've been ready since the day I met Tariro," he replied, clutching the beaded bracelet his mother had given him for courage. With laughter, songs, and high spirits, the groom's party set off for Tariro's homestead, the journey filled with excitement and anticipation for what awaited them. The journey to the bride's homestead. The groom's party set off with a procession that could rival a festival. Women sang traditional songs of blessing, their voices rising in joyous ululation, while the men clapped and chanted in unison. Kudzai rode in the middle of the ox-drawn cart, dressed in his finest attire, but his heart raced as the moment drew closer. Simba, ever the jokier, leaned towards Kudzai. "If the bride's family hides her, are you ready to hunt her down?" Kudzai laughed nervously. "She won't hide for long. She knows I'll find her anyway." The journey was not without its share of humor and challenges. Along the way, the oxen suddenly stopped in their tracks, refusing to move. "These animals know there's a feast waiting," Uncle Dube grumbled, attempting to coax them forward. "They are probably thinking of the leftovers already." After some spirited effort and a lot of laughter from the women, the oxen resumed their pace. As the procession neared Tariro's homestead, the sound of drums and singing grew louder. "They are ready for us," Kudzai's father said, a hint of pride in his voice. At the gate of Tariro's homestead, the groom's party was met with a playful roadblock. Her family stood in their way, arms folded and grinning mischievously. "Who comes to disturb our peace?" Tariro's brother Tawanda called out. "You must pay to enter." Uncle Dube stepped forward, a wide smile on his face. "We bring gifts and good intentions," he replied, holding out a bundle of fabric. The two sides bantered and laughed as the negotiations continued. Small payments of coins and treats were exchanged before the bride's family opened the gate with a cheer. As the groom's party entered the courtyard, the atmosphere was electric with excitement. Drums pounded and women danced, creating a welcoming rhythm. Kudzai's heart swelled with anticipation as he spotted Tariro's figure among the crowd. "Let the ceremony begin," the village elder announced, his voice ringing above the celebrations. The next steps of their union awaited, steeped in tradition and joy. The exchange of gifts. The courtyard was alive with color, music, and laughter as the groom's party and the bride's family gathered for the next part of the tradition, the exchange of gifts. This ceremony was more than just giving presents. It was a way to honor both families and symbolize their unity. Uncle Dube stood at the center holding a bundle of bright wrapped gifts. "We bring tokens of respect and gratitude," he announced. "Each item represents the blessings we wish for this marriage." First, the women of Kudzai's family presented bowls of colorful fabric to the bride's mother and aunts. "For the women who raised such a wonderful daughter," one of them said, bowing slightly. The bride's family responded with warm smiles and songs of appreciation. "These will make beautiful outfits for future celebrations," Tariro's mother said, her voice filled with pride. Next came baskets of ground nuts, fresh maize, and dried fish, symbolizing prosperity and abundance. The items were carefully arranged in front of Tariro's family, who clapped and cheered in approval. "Where is the beer?" someone called from the crowd, sparking laughter. Uncle Due stepped forward dramatically, holding a clay pot of frothy traditional beer. Ah, here it is, the brew of unity, he said, handing it to Tariro's father. May it bring us closer as one family. The most important gifts, however, were the cattle. Kuzai's father led a pair of gleaming oxen into the courtyard, their horns adorned with ribbons. These animals represent strength and endurance, he said. May the couple's marriage be as steadfast as these creatures. Taro's family accepted the gift with gratitude, but not without some teasing. These cows are handsome, a uncle said, inspecting one closely. But are they fast? We might need to test them. Laughter ripped through the crowd as the elder continued. We see your heart is in the right place, Kudzai, he said. You've come with respect, and for that, we welcome you into our family. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, the atmosphere shifted to one of deeper reflection. The families had exchanged not only gifts, but also their hopes and blessings for the couple. Now let us prepare for the next steps, the village elder announced. This union is just beginning. The night before, the moon was bright over the village as Tariro sat on a mat outside her hut. Her friends, Rudo and Chieza, worked on her hair, braiding it into neat lines. Tomorrow you look like a queen, Rudo said, tying a bead onto a braid. Chieza sniffed a pot of mushonga. This smells funny. Are you sure it works? Tarilo laughed. Gogo says it will make my skin glow. She dipped her fingers into the brown paste and smeared it on her arms. Besides, it keeps mosquitoes away. Inside the hut, Taro's mother was packing a bag for the new home. Don't forget the big cooking pot, she called out. You're now a wife. Don't remind me, Tariro joked, though her heart raced at the thought of tomorrow. Meanwhile, at Kudzai's home, things weren't as calm. His brothers, Tino and Jabu, stood awkwardly in the yard trying to copy Uncle Temba's dance steps. Step left, then stomp. Uncle Temba barked. Not like that. You are moving like a chicken. Kudzai sighed. Do we really need to do this dance? Of course, Uncle Temba replied. This is the groom's family. You must show pride and strength. Tino tripped over a stick and fell, making Jabu laugh so hard he couldn't dance. Even Kudzai started laughing, but Uncle Temba clapped his hands. Focus, boys, focus. Do you want to embarrass us tomorrow? Back at Taros, the girls had finished her hair and sat under a tree telling stories. What if Kudzai forgets his vows? Rudo teased. Taro shook her head, smiling. He won't, but I hope he doesn't fall before the dance. As the night grew quiet, both homes felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. Tomorrow would be a day to remember, full of love, laughter, and maybe a few surprises. Wedding day dawn. The first rays of sunlight crept over the hills, painting the village in golden hues. At Tariro's home, the women were already awake, bustling around like busy bees. The aroma of freshly brewed tea filled the air, mingling with the scent of roasting maize. Tariro sat quietly as her mother adjusted her colorful wedding attire. You look like a true bride, her mother said, wiping away a tear. Don't cry, Mama, Tariro teased. You make me cry too, and my makeup will run. Outside the village, women sang traditional songs, their voices rising like a morning prayer. Gogo came in with a calabash of milk. Drink this for blessings, she said, a wrinkled face glowing with pride. At Kudzai's home, it was a different kind of chaos. His brothers rushed to iron their shirts while Uncle Temba polished his walking stick. You must lead with confidence today, Uncle Temba advised Kudzai. I feel like my stomach is doing somersaults, Kudzai admitted nervously. Tino grinned. Don't worry, brother. If you faint, I'll catch you. The groom's family gathered for a quick prayer. Kudzai's father spoke. Today, we unite with another family. Remember to show respect and honor. The village began to buzz with activity as guests arrived, some on foot, others in ox-drawn carts. Children chased each other around, giggling, while elders found shady spots to sit. Tariro peeked out of her hut. She could see the decorated procession vehicles waiting. Her heart raced. This is it, she whispered. Ready, Rudo asked, as ready as I will ever be. Taro replied with a smile, though butterflies fluttered in her stomach. The day had only begun, but it was already filled with excitement and promise. The bridal procession. Drums echoed across the village as the bridal procession began. Tariro, wrapped in a vibrant red and yellow wedding attire, stepped out of her hut. The ululations of the women filled the air as they celebrated her beauty and grace. Walk slowly, my child, her mother whispered, holding her hand. A bride must show dignity. Rudo and Chedza carried a basket of gifts behind her, while a group of young girls sprinkled petals on the ground. Tariro looks like a princess, one of them giggled. The procession moved through the village, with people cheering from their doorways. Gogo led the group, holding a calabash of water to symbolize purity. At Kudzai's homestead, his family stood ready to receive them. Uncle Temba, holding his ceremonial staff, watched the procession with pride. Our daughter-in-law is arriving, he said, puffing out his chest. Kudzai stood nervously beside his father. He wiped his palms on his trousers. What if I mess up? He whispered to Tino. Don't worry, big brother, Tino said with a wink. If you faint, I'll be the groom. As the bride's family approached, they were stopped by Auntie Ruramai, who playfully blocked the path. No one enters without a song and a gift, she teased. The women on Tariro's side broke into a loud, joyful song, and Rudo handed Auntie Ruramai a bundle of blankets. Ah, now you may pass, and Auntie Ruramai said, stepping aside with a grin. When Tariro and Kudzai's eyes met, the world seemed to pause. A smile spread across his face. You look beautiful, he whispered when she reached him. Tariro blushed. You clean up nicely yourself. The two families clapped and cheered as the couple was led into the yard, ready for the next step in their union. Tariro's grand entrance. As the final gift was accepted, the crowd grew quieter, a buzz of anticipation filling the air. It was time for one of the most exciting moments of the day, the bride's grand entrance. Kudzai's heart raced. Though he knew Tariro was nearby, tradition dictated that she be kept hidden until this moment. The women of Tariro's family began to sing, their voices sweet and rhythmic as they formed a protective circle around her. Their ululation filled the courtyard, blending with the steady beat of the drums. Simba nudged Kudzai. What if she decides to run away? He joked. She wouldn't dare, Kudzai replied, his smile hiding his nervousness. Suddenly the singing stopped and the courtyard fell silent from the center of the circle. Tariro emerged, a face specially covered with a delicate white veil. She wore a traditional dress made of African fabric, its bright patterns a reflection of a vibrant spirit. Beaded jewelry adorned her neck and wrist, each piece a symbol of her family's blessings. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. "She looks like a queen," someone whispered. Tariro walked slowly, her movements graceful and deliberate. The women around her chanted softly, creating an atmosphere of reverence and joy. Kudzai couldn't take his eyes off her. In that moment, she seemed to glow, her presence commanding yet gentle. As she reached the middle of the courtyard, the elder raised his staff. "Young man," he said, addressing Kudzai, "do you recognize this woman?" Kudzai stepped forward, his voice steady despite the pounding in his chest. "I do. She is the one my heart has chosen." The crowd erupted in cheers and laughter, and Tariro lowered a veil, revealing a shy but radiant smile. The elder nodded approvingly. "Then let the next step begin. The union of these two souls is a blessing for us all." With the formalities complete, the families joined in a joyous dance, celebrating the couple's love and the rich traditions that brought them together. The vows exchange. The crowd gathered in a large circle in Kudzai's family yard. Women sat on colorful mats, while men occupied wooden benches under the shade of a large mango tree. The village elders, draped in traditional attire, sat in the center, ready to oversee the ceremony. Tariro and Kudzai knelt before the elders, their hands resting on a white cloth spread on the ground. An elder cleared his throat, signaling for silence. "Today, we witnessed the joining of two families," he began, his voice steady and wise. Tariro's father stepped forward. He carried a small clay pot filled with water. "Marriage is like this pot," he said, holding it high. "It must be handled with care or it will break." He poured a little water into a bowl and handed the pot to Kudzai. Kudzai took the pot with shaking hands. His brothers chuckled quietly in the background. "Steady, brother," Tino whispered. Tariro's turn came. Her mother handed her a traditional wooden spoon. "This is for you, your new home," she said. "With it, you will feed your family, but just as I have fed mine." Then came the vows. The elders asked Kudzai to speak first. He cleared his throat nervously. "I promise to care for you, respect you, and never let you sleep hungry unless I've burnt the sadza," he joked, earning laughter from the crowd. Tariro smiled as she spoke. "I promise to stand by you, even when your dancing embarrasses me," she teased, making everyone laugh again. The elders raised his hands. "May this union bring joy, peace, and prosperity." As the crowd cheered, Tariro and Kudzai exchanged shy smiles, their hearts full of hope. A feast of unity. The aroma of roasted meat, steaming sadza, and freshly cooked vegetables filled the air as the families gathered for the wedding feast. Long wooden tables were laid out under the mango tree, decorated with wild flowers and colorful cloth. Tariro and Kudzai sat at the head table, their faces glowing with happiness. "I can't believe how much food there is," Tariro whispered to Kudzai. "Wait until Uncle Temba starts his stories," Kudzai replied with a grin. "You eat half of the goat before he's done the talking." As the feast began, the women served food on large clay plates. Gogo made sure everyone had plenty. More meat for the elders, she called out, pointing to the largest pieces. The children ran around with roasted maize in their hands, laughing and playing. Tino challenged Jabu to see who could eat the most sadza in one sitting. You best, Andrew Ramai scolded, but her laughter gave her away. Halfway through the meal, Uncle Temba stood up, banging his walking stick on the ground. I have a story, he announced. Oh no, here we go, Kudzai muttered, making Tariro stifle a laugh. Uncle Temba launched into a tale about how he once danced so well at a wedding that the bride's family offered him a cow. And that's why I still have the best moves, he said, demonstrating a clumsy dance that had everyone roaring with laughter. But the real highlight came when both families stood to sing a unity song. Their voices blended beautifully, symbolizing the coming together of two homes. As the sun set, Tariro and Kudzai looked out at the happy faces around them. This is more than a wedding, Tariro said softly. It's a celebration of family and love. The first night. As the stars blanketed the sky, the wedding feast wound down. Guests drifted home, their laughter and songs echoing through the village. Tariro and Kudzai were escorted to a small hut, beautifully decorated with fresh flowers and woven mats, prepared as their new home. Inside, a clay pot sat in the center of the room, filled with cool water and a single floating flower. A basket of fresh fruits and nuts rested beside it, a gift from Gogo. Kudzai fidgeted nervously. Well, here we are, he said, rubbing the back of his neck. Tariro giggled, her eyes twinkling. Are you afraid of me, Kudzai? Not afraid, just cautious, he replied, earning a laugh. They sat on the mat, sharing a ripe mango from the basket. Tariro noticed Kudzai's hands trembling slightly. Relax, she said, touching his arm gently. We've known each other since we were children. Tonight doesn't have to be perfect. Kudzai sighed, his shoulders loosening. You are right, but I still want to be a good husband. You already are, Tariro said, smiling. Just then, a loud thud came from outside. Kudzai jumped to his feet. What was that? He opened the door to find Tino standing there with a mischievous grin. I was just checking if you needed anything, brother, he said, clearly suppressing laughter. Go home, Tino, Kudzai groaned, shutting the door. Tariro laughed so hard she had to wipe tears from her eyes. Your family will never leave us alone. They will settle down, Kudzai assured her, eventually. As the night deepened, the young couple talked quietly, their laughter softening into whispers. Though nervous at first, they both realized that love, patience, and humor would guide them through the new chapter. Settling into married life. The morning after the wedding, the rooster crowed loudly, signaling that the start of Tariro and Kudzai's first day as husband and wife. Tariro woke up early, slipping out quietly to fetch water from the well. When she returned, she found Kudzai sitting cross-legged on the mat, rubbing his eyes. Why didn't you wake me? He asked. You looked too peaceful, she teased, but don't get used to sleeping in. Gogo warned me to keep you busy. Kudzai laughed. Then let me help. He grabbed a broom and awkwardly began sweeping the yard. Tariro giggled as he kicked up more dust than he swept away. Their first breakfast was simple but special: sweet potatoes and a warm cup of tea. As they ate, Andiruramai appeared at the door. "Tariro, you must learn how to manage this household," she said, carrying a stack of pots. "And Kuzai, don't forget to mend the fence today. Your goats almost got into the neighbor's field." Tariro exchanged a look with Kuzai. "We will handle it," she said confidently. The day passed with a mix of challenges and laughter. Tariro struggled to light the fire in a new kitchen, and Kuzai accidentally spilled water while trying to carry 2 buckets at once. In the evening, the couple sat under the stars sharing roasted maize. "This is harder than I thought," Kuzai admitted. "Everything new feels that way," Tariro said, "but we will figure it out together." Just then, Tino appeared with a sack of mangoes. "A gift from home," he said with a grin. As they laughed and shared the fruit, Tariro and Kuzai realized that marriage was not just about 2 people, but about the love and support of family and a little humor to keep things light. The wisdom of unity. Weeks turned into months, and Tariro and Kuzai began to find their rhythm as a married couple. They worked side by side in the fields, cooked meals together, and hosted family members who always seemed to drop by unannounced. One evening, Gogo came to visit. She carried a walking stick and a small bundle wrapped in cloth. "Sit with me," she said to the young couple. Tariro and Kuzai sat at her feet, eager to hear her words. Gogo untied the bundle and revealed a single grain of millet. "This small grain can feed many," she began, "but only if it is planted, nurtured, and harvested with care." She paused, looking at them both. Marriage is the same. It begins small, but with patience and teamwork, it can grow into something that sustains not only you, but everyone around you. Tariro nodded. "It hasn't always been easy, Gogo, but we are learning." Kuzai smiled. "Like when I accidentally bent the stew last week, and Tariro still said it tasted fine. And when you fixed the thatched roof before the rains came," Tariro added. Gogo chuckled. "It's not about who does what. It's about doing it together." She handed the millet grain to Tariro. "Plant this tomorrow. Let it remind you that unity is your strength." The next day, Tariro and Kuzai planted the grain in their small garden. They watered it daily, and as it sprouted, it became a symbol of their growing love and partnership. Over time, the couple became a source of wisdom for the younger families in the village. They shared Gogo's lessons, teachings, and teaching others that unity, respect, and laughter were the true roots of a strong marriage. As they sat under the stars one night, Tariro whispered, "Our grain of millet has grown into something beautiful." Kuzai took her hand and smiled, "And it will keep growing as long as we nurture it." We come to the end. Thank you for following all along with this story. Let me know if you'd like more stories like this.